This morning as I was going towards TDU, University for Transdisciplinary Health Sciences and Technology in Yelahanka, I got this message from Krishna that this webinar, this particular video is being released. And I'm very keen on watching these webinars because they carry so much of essence of our institution, the education system, and they're very informative and educative for those who do not know about us. So I was watching that and I was so thrilled. It felt like a dark cloud has been lifted up when I watched these videos with these tiny tots explaining the philosophy and talking about all the good things that they're learning, how they're learning, and they know the reason for why things are the way they are. They understand all of it. And this video is just a part of it. But after that, there is a discussion between the moderators who are also our own alumni who are now campus directors or Pradhana Palakas. And also there are 3 students from different campuses, a girl and 2 boys. They discuss this about the philosophy of the education that we provide here and the hostel life, the routine, and why it is so. But there is a logic behind everything. It's not simply off the cuff that things have been told or designed. When I heard all of this, it really made me very happy because these kids had, I don't know how much is the preparation, how much is their self understanding, but it was very obvious that they knew what they were talking. It made me very happy to see that these children had such a wonderful discussion. It was so mature, it was so clear, it was so articulate, which made me very happy. So I thought I want to show this video to every one of you. All the people who are watching this satsang now live from around the world, they should know how this education system is making a difference in the lives of so many students, whether they are in primary, higher primary, senior secondary, or all the way till university and medical schools. Everywhere there is a thought with which we are running these institutions, and it has a reason, and the students understand that very well. Looking at all these things, I felt very happy. I thought I should share with you. This webinar is a must-watch. You should go and listen to it because this is all with kids. It's not with grown-ups who keep talking about whatever they know. But these children have spoken so well and so articulate. That really made me very happy. And it was like from my chest, I felt that a big burden has been lifted up because I felt so joyful after listening to this. And thanks to all these kids who have done this so well. They say child is the father of man. There is much to learn from the child than from the grown-ups. Because their innocence, their agility, their flexibility, their eagerness to learn, curiosity, and willingness to change, adapt and change and grow is something that makes them truly people whom you want to work with, whom you want to deal with. When we grow up, we harden somehow. And then we are unable to mold ourselves, change our ways, or come out of those comfort zones of dead habits. It becomes extremely difficult as we grow up. So these inputs, these ideas, these philosophies have to be implemented at an early age, when they are still soft, when they can still absorb this, when they can still be molded. You see small trees there, when we plant a small sapling, it is very tender and it grows only if you tie a stick to it, a straight stick, then it grows straight. But if you don't tie that stick at that point in time, when it is still a sapling or a small plant, there is a possibility that it can grow in a crooked way. And crooked wood is of no use to anybody. So that is why this idea has to be implemented quite early in the life cycle of children. Because it's very easy to change and mold them. When I was there somewhere traveling, I was reading, and I keep reading these magazines, and some international magazine was talking about child terrorism in some of these countries in the Middle Eastern region, where children, 8-year-old, 9-year-old, are holding guns, and when they are told to shoot their own parents, they are shooting them. They are shooting their own mothers also. It was very heartbreaking to see how a 7 or 8 or 9-year-old child developed such kind of obedience or such kind of idealism, whatever, the wrong idealism, and goes about doing such criminal things that he is not even sparing his own mother when it comes to shooting because he has been taught and told to do that. And I asked a question to myself, why did it happen? Children are supposed to be innocent. They're supposed to be kind. They're supposed to be compassionate. Then what happened? What went wrong with this child or these children because of which they're behaving the way they're doing. And the only answer is that they did not get the opportunity like you are. They are well in the hands of such antisocial elements, terrorists. And because of that, they got trained to become like that. See, they're innocent. They can be molded whichever way we decide to. Like a potter who can make any kind of pottery from the clay, as long as it is still soft and moist. Once it hardens, you have to break it, powder it, and then only you can work on it, but it's never the same. Like these children with their soft and tender minds can be molded in whatever direction we decide. The society decides, whichever mentor decides. But if the children fall in the wrong hands, in the hands of such kind of antisocial elements, then it is just the other way around for them. They turn out to be criminals. When I go to US, every other visit, in fact in every visit, at least there is one mention of school shooting incidents, where some kid has brought a gun, I don't know where he procured that from, and shot so many kids and teachers in the school. This is a very, very common occurrence in the US. And I keep reading it, sometimes gets highlighted, sometimes it is never known. But this happens all the time in some areas, not all. And I ask myself, how did this child develop so much of anger, so much of cruelty? This is not the child's nature. They can be naughty, they can be mischievous, but they are not evil. By nature, they are not cruel. Then how did they become cruel and become so evil that they did not mind taking the life of so many people for whatever reason they had? And they are all less than maybe teenagers at best. And the only answer is because, again, they did not get an opportunity to get an education like this. Because of which they did not learn these beautiful values, and they fell in the hands of wrong people, and because of which they are what they are today. While one side these are social crimes, individual crimes that children are getting into, juvenile crimes. On the other side, I also see mental health issues where children of young age, they may not be physically abusive or criminal types, but then in their minds they are very angry, they are very frustrated, they are very depressed. They cut off from everything. And just now somebody sent me articles about South Korea, that how many kids are going through tremendous depression. So much so that now parents have tried to learn what's going on in the child's mind by confining themselves to a prison cell like a situation where they confine themselves and cut themselves off from the society for some time without phones, without anything, to understand what is the trauma of isolation that the children are undergoing. They go to school, they come back, they don't talk to the parents, lock themselves up in the room, they don't come out of the rooms. This is what is happening in some parts of the world with young children. Because they have lost the zest for life. They do not want to live. They feel this life is a burden. And they have no purpose. This is happening in the rich developed countries too. See, on one side you have those criminal kind of countries where children are falling into prey to all criminal people. But on the other side you also have rich developed countries where parents are sending them to good schools and they are getting all kinds of education, they are exposed to all kinds of information. But children are not happy and they are confining themselves to their rooms, they do not come out, they don't want to converse with anybody, including their parents. So what is going on in the world, what has gone wrong with the education is the question that I always ask. And this is the reason why we are trying to project a model of education that is going to balance all the aspects of human personality. Whether it's physical growth, intellectual growth, emotional growth, spiritual growth, all of that has been rolled into one philosophy of education, which is what we are trying to implement. Some of you may understand, some of you may not understand it in its entirety because you are quite young. But if you really look around, especially in the world around, you will know how important it is to have right kind of education given to every child. Somebody had asked me, what is the solution to the problems in the world? Because they seem to be growing every day. It's overwhelming to even look around and see all kinds of issues. What is the solution? The only solution is give every child the right kind of education. Giving every child education is not the solution. Because those children in Middle Eastern countries also are getting educated. Those children in Western countries are also educated. In the Southeast Asian countries are also get educated. But what is happening is they are not getting right kind of education. The balanced approach to education. And this balance in education is what our institutions are providing. Without which there will be a lopsided growth in the child's personality, and at the end the child is not going to be happy. And if you don't have a happy person, how can you create happy families? And if you don't have happy families, how will you create happy communities, happy societies or happy countries. Then in their anger, they'll procure a gun from somewhere or a knife and they'll shoot and kill whomever they want because they're not able to control their emotions and anger. So also on the other side, India, when I look around, just now somebody gave me a letter in the Darshan. And she wrote that about the child labor and crimes against children. It's growing again in India. Much of it is not even reported. Some of it gets reported, that is what we know. But so much of crime against children, all kinds of crimes, very heinous crimes. On the other hand, child labor is also an issue. A lot of children don't get to go to school. They are bonded laborers. And I was watching a documentary on child labor in India. And there, this show that the father had borrowed money from some money lender or some contractor where he was working as a laborer, and father passes away. This fellow just picks up the young son, just picks him up from the house and takes him for labor work. And mother resists, mother cries. He says, nothing doing. He has father borrowed money. I have to put this fellow to work so that I recover the money. But this child has those dreams of going back to the school, playing with his friends and having good time. But this is not his lot anymore because this man forcibly takes him, locks him up in a room with hardly one small ventilator and tortures him till this child agrees to work without complaining. And finally he kills the very spirit of the child, and he would tie him with chains, so that he will not go away too far. Because once or twice the child tried to run away from that confinement. But this cruel, labor contractor, keeps him confined to a prison-like place and tortures him without food, water or even light till the child's spirit is broken. And he agrees to the ways of this man. And finally he agrees that this is my life. He resigns to his fate and becomes a child laborer. This is a true story which was slightly dramatized to tell how child labor is spreading in the country. Because of debts, farmers kill themselves, commit suicide, their children have to pay the debts. They cannot pay, they become farm laborers, bonded laborers. Rules are there, laws are there, but implementation is always the issue. And that is where we are failing our children as a society, as a system. I can only do so much. I can only help these many children in our institutions. We can only build so many institutions by ourselves. We have limited capacities. But if every one of you takes it upon yourself that the good that has been done to you must be done to so many more other children who cannot join us right now, then there is hope for this world. Then there is a possibility that many, many, many more children, and I am not expecting it to happen over the next 2, 3, 5 years. Maybe over 25 years, all the children will be out of child laboring. All the children will not fall into the hands of these kind of criminals. They will not get into mental issues where they become detrimental and dangerous to the society. Hopefully in 25, 30, 40 years, the way things are today would not be the way they will be in the future. And that is the kind of developed nation, developed world that I am looking at. Just money or devices to the children or giving them a luxurious life is not really taking care of the children. It's helping them overcome their weaknesses, is helping them overcome their shortfalls, and then accept themselves, love themselves, develop the confidence, and then come up in life and have gratitude in them with which they are going to help more people. This sensitivity, this understanding, this compassion is what children need to be taught through education system. And this effort on our side is a difficult effort. As Narasimhamurthy said, that this is swimming against the tides. It is not swimming with the flow, but it is against the flow because the majority of the society does not work like this. I was mentioning at TDU also that Professor Darshan Shankar, who is the Vice Chancellor, he had come here 3 years ago. And in a room we were sitting, and I was telling him all my idealistic ideas. But here is the man who had been there and done that. He had tried a lot of things for 4 decades. And definitely they've achieved decent success in most of the things. But this idea of School of Integrative Medicine, which was core to him, that did not happen. But I was telling him that I want to build an institution which respects and acknowledges all kinds of life sciences, healthcare sciences, and amalgamates them, synthesizes them into a holistic model of healthcare. Because we are not just the body, we are also the mind, we are also the spirit. Now we know that. And that aspect of education has gone missing. Even mind was not acknowledged till recently. I think it's only in the late 70s, 80s when most of the psychiatry and all these theories started coming, Sigmund Freud and things like that. But before that, we were not even acknowledging people's minds. We only were treating the body, if at all. And then we have to teach them how to train their minds. That is education. That is also so many other ways of doing it. And then we have the spirit side of people. They're all born with a purpose. They have a consciousness. They have a higher aim why they are here. And unless your purpose integrates or seamlessly works with the actions, with the education that you are undertaking, you will not be happy. So the holistic health is possible only with holistic education, holistic development of the children. Why children are physically healthy but mentally sick, or mentally healthy but physically deficient? All these are because we have not taken care of our children properly. We do not know how to do it in the first place because we have not applied our minds to it. And even if we know, there are so many constraints, so much of competition in the market, so much of survival pressures, that most of the institutions or parents do not want to implement even if they know this is what is necessary. They just want to push them into this rat race and tell them you somehow find a way to get ahead of the next person and make a place for yourself in society, get a good earning or livelihood and get yourselves comfortable. This is all that we expect from you. I saw a very nice meme on some newspaper, I think they're cartoons, where there is one man who is flat on the deathbed and there is one fellow who is pressing his legs. And this fellow is his youngest son, it seems. And the doctor has come there to check on him. Imagine this man is all alone, a widower, lying on his deathbed, and there is only one youngest son, who is kind of serving him. And this man is telling the doctor, he is the only useless son I have had. My other sons have become doctors, engineers, and settled abroad. This is the attitude of parents. I'll rather die alone in my own home, in isolation or in whatever. But if a son is serving him, he feels it was a useless son because he is sitting here and serving. He didn't become doctor, engineer, and settle abroad. I know of a person, and when I had met him, I asked him. He was alone. He came back and settled in Puttaparthi. I asked him, so how are you? How are things? He said, I'm very happy. But I said, you are all alone here. How do you look after yourself? Because he used to stay outside the ashram. He said, no, I'm very happy. My first son is in the US. He's a doctor. My second son is in UK. He's also a doctor. My third son is in some Singapore. He's a lawyer. And I'm all alone here. I'm happy, he said. I said, but you want your children to be around you? He said that, no, they're doing very well. I'm so proud of it. They're doing very well. So they're happy if the children are making money somewhere. But they're not happy if they're sitting with them and looking after them. That is not... So parenting itself has gone wrong. Education has gone wrong. So where is the possibility for children to grow right? We have not created the circumstances for them to grow right. This is unfortunate. This is really unfortunate that children are victims of this apathy, this misunderstanding, this abusive parenting and teaching in today's times. And all the time my heart goes out to those kids who do not get this kind of education and opportunity that we have. And then my heart aches even more for those children and their parents who do not realize the value of this and take the children out after some time. Saying, no, let us put them in some competitive coaching center in some city. You know of Kota, Rajasthan. No? Every year we have news of suicides happening in those coaching centers. So much rules are so hard because they know these children, somebody or other will commit suicide out of depression or family pressure or whatever. So they have not allowed fans to be there in the hostel rooms because people will hang themselves from the fan. So one news that I read last year before we started medical school, I was reading in Kota, one of the coaching center, the child killed himself by asphyxiating himself by tying a polythene bag around his face and strangulating himself with that. So that he wouldn't breathe, he wouldn't have oxygen and he will die. Blue. There was no fan to hang from, there was no way to cut your wrist or pop in some sleeping pills. So this is the way he killed himself. Imagine the desperation to die. That you are ready to tie a polythene bag around you so that you won't breathe and die. Breathless. Where we have pushed our children to, my whole question is that as society, I ask this to policymakers, I ask this to institutions, I ask this to parents. Where are we leading our society, our children to? Asking them to kill themselves mercilessly like this. At least killing somebody else is some understanding that he was angry and he killed. Taking away their own lives in coaching centers, which are supposed to be the temples of learning and education and training. From where come all these medical graduates? And look at the pressure that they put on these children. It is a shameful. If it's shameful, we should be collectively ashamed as a society. And we don't do anything about it. Coaching institutions are making money, private institutions are making money, everything is money. You know what happened with the NEET exam recently. 30 lakhs, leave the paper, we will fill up, you go home. Why? Because if you pay 30 lakhs and you get a government seat, free of cost seat, your life is made. After that you can become a doctor, whatever kind of a doctor he or she would be, who has no understanding, no IQ, no nothing. That is a different matter. What kind of society will be with doctors like this? But this has happened. Now I don't know what is the fate of that NEET exam now. And with the fear of the UG NEET, PG NEET was postponed, saying better we check whether everything is all right. Look at a country like ours. Millions of students write, million exams, so much of scandal in writing exams. It is so sad where we are pushing our education system to. And all this is just driven by greed. I remember when we were conceptualizing this MBBS college, I had a lot of ideas. Some of them I was told, don't even try. Like I wanted integrative medicine college. I didn't want a regular MBBS. Everybody said there is no regulatory framework. Nobody will give you any permission. Don't even try. So I said, okay, we will slowly get there, but not right now, over a period. So that is how we thought. At that point of time, one of the key persons in Karnataka Education Authority, who was also very old hand in medical exams and counseling, and he's a government person. He was telling, Swamiji, I have one request to you. You have great ideals. You want to start a medical school with great ideals of compassion, kindness, free of cost, so the children are not burdened by debt. They are not under pressure of finances, and they will study in a good environment, healthy environment. All this is fine. But he told me, please conduct your examinations honestly. I said, what is there to even ask? Examinations have to be conducted honestly. What is there to ask me specially for that? Then he told me, no Swamiji, it is not true. I know medical colleges, especially private medical colleges, autonomous medical colleges, where the examinations are the biggest scandal. Why? Because the father has given a donation of 1 crore of rupees to that private, whatever medical school. Now the son is not doing well because he got into the medical college by paying money. And he's no good at studies. Suppose he fails. The father is going to shoot the director of the college. He says, I gave you money, now get my son going, pass him. So they are saying in those autonomous colleges, everything is, the question paper is told, the answer paper is filled by teachers, and students are passed just like that. Nobody fails. Because they can't afford to fail anybody, because donations won't come. And if they fail and the seat goes empty, who will pay for it? So imagine an authority from the government tells me, Swamiji, please conduct your examinations honestly. I said, that is not even the discussion here. It will be that way. But coming from somebody like you, it surprises me. And then he told me, this is how it happens. Imagine he becomes your family doctor or your personal doctor in the future. God only save you. So check, if anybody studied from autonomous medical colleges, don't go to them. You never know whether they have studied anything at all. Isn't it? Because they have passed like this. Now fine, autonomous medical colleges, we remove those doctors from our list. We will never go to them. We will check their backgrounds and not go to them. What about government medical colleges? They have never seen a patient in their whole MBBS term. In the sense, they never dealt with the patient. They only dealt with books and whatever, cadavers and skeletons. They don't know how to sew up a wound. No skill sets at all. That's the issue with the government medical college. And if the NEET exam scandals happen like this, where people pay money and get into government seats, which can't even go to the government doctors. So I think only doctors who studied in our institution will be the only doctors who would be able to treat patients honestly. So now I have decided, if at all I am sick and I have to check, first thing I will not check is the hospitals, how big the brand is. First I will go and check whichever doctor, did he study in an autonomous medical college or studied a proper medical? Did he study a government seat or private seat? I will go and check all these things. Only then we should go for treatment with them. So many scandals. Recently there was a huge scandal in Bangalore about fetal examination scandal, where people these people using machines, ultrasound, and they told the people about the gender of the fetus. And so many feticides happened in Bangalore, right here. I'm not talking about Haryana, Rajasthan and all that. There we know how things happen. I'm talking about here in Bangalore. This is ethics in healthcare. This is ethics of education. What is going on is my question. All because money entered all the education. Therefore it ruined it. If money was not in education like the ancient Gurukula system, the king's son also slept on the same floor as the farmer's son. No different discrimination, all wore the same kind of clothes, ate the same kind of food, whether rich or poor. They lived the same daily life, same schedule, no exceptions, no special considerations because you are rich or poor, you paid a fee or you did not pay a fee. That's when India was prospering. People were so vibrant with so much of knowledge and understanding. Today, just in TDU, when I was talking about all the healthcare systems, now we know of Ayush, Ayurveda, and all the others, Siddha and homeopathy and Unani and things like that. He was telling it all originated in India or more or less here. And it traveled all the parts of the world. And when it was rewritten, those books were rewritten in their languages, they came to be known as these medicines. More or less it is similar to Ayurvedic thought. Maybe the Buddhist tradition took it to the Far East, so also the Persians to the West. And this is how it spread. But more or less, and when it went to South, it was a Siddha tradition. When it went up North, it became Ayurveda, whichever way. And all the books that are written, they have transcribed so many of these manuscripts, medical manuscripts. Done great effort. I was stunned by the herbarium that they have. So much of passion. They were doing it with so much of passion. And I said all these sciences were very, very, honest because they were free. Because education was free. So only people with passion and qualification came. There was no buying seats with money. Just because your father is rich, he got you to become a doctor. That never happened in our country. If the child had the passion, he went ahead and did what he wanted to do. So also children did many other things. Just recently, Nalanda University has been again re-established in a new premises. And the ideals are the same. They're talking about what happened in those 500, 600 BC AD. That period, Nalanda was flourishing as the center of education for the whole of the world actually. People came as far as from Persia, Greece to study here, so also from Japan that far. Because they wanted to get knowledge. And 10,000 students were studying at any point in time. They were studying 500 odd subjects, including surgery. And these people never paid a rupee or never paid whatever the money that time for a fee. So who paid for all these things? Society paid for it. Because society then was much more intelligent than what it is today. It knew if we don't invest in good education of the next generation, not only the next generation will suffer, but we will suffer alongside. So it's in our own interest that we should invest in education of the next generation, so there are less criminals and more kind people and more compassionate people. Society is obeying laws and everybody is living a harmonious life. They all knew that education is a social investment that every individual must make. Kings knew that. That's why India flourished with so many art forms, so much of knowledge system, so many things happened here. But the moment Western idea, Macaulay's idea came in, and they started commercializing education and discriminating between one class and another, and made it an elitist affair where rich got the English education and got jobs in the British government, and the poor stayed where they were. That's when India started becoming poor. Before that, there is no poverty in India as such. Poverty in the sense nobody was dying for 2 meals a day. That was not the situation. The whole westernization of education system killed this thing. And there's a beautiful book by Dharmapal called The Beautiful Tree. For those who want, they can read it. And these are facts, research facts that he produces. He says Indian education system was so advanced. Primary schools were everywhere. Every child had access to education, the basic education of reading, writing or arithmetic that was given to all children. And this nonsense of poor people or the low caste people did not have access, all this is absolute nonsense. He destroys, decimates all those fake theories, and he proves with surveys that were conducted by British people on Indian education system, where they themselves say that these many lakh schools are there in India, when British or European education system was not even developed. I was told the European school started because women were coming for work at industries. They did not know where to put their children when they were working. So a creche-like place was created where kids were being looked after. Because kids were making noise and crying, so somebody was put there to engage them throughout. These areas, these places were called schools. That's how school system emerged from Europe. We had Gurukulas, Guru Grahavasa. We stayed with our gurus and learned. It was not a desperate outcome of a necessity of keeping kids away from their mothers so that mothers can work in the factories. That's not how our schooling system evolved. Our schooling system evolved with a great deep understanding of human mind, human spirit, human aptitudes and emotions. So this is what we are trying to bring back. And there is so much of depth in what we are doing. Some people may understand, some people may not. As I said, those are very unfortunate fools who withdraw their children halfway through this system because they want to put them in some coaching center somewhere. And drive them crazy by pushing them to extremes for their ego satisfaction. That's all they do. And those parents are not even real parents. They are actually, it's an unfortunate thing that the child is born to them because they are actually destroying the child, they're destroying the society in the future because he'll be a frustrated professional who will never be happy with what he's doing or she is doing, and eventually they will be harm to the society, they'll harm to themselves. So this is what we are trying to change. Anyway, education is a very close thing, it's very close to my heart, and that's why you should know why I feel pained if things are not in order. Because your carelessness, your whatever lack of understanding or lack of commitment to these value systems will destroy our next generation. And that is why elders have to be very careful. That is why the grown-ups have to be very careful. Because whatever they do becomes the culture for the next generation. And you are knowingly, unknowingly, you are damaging the next generation without realizing. Therefore, you have a huge responsibility. You can't just behave the way you want. You have to behave in a way that will help the next generation grow into better citizens. And this is where we're coming from. This is why this education is so important, how we have designed it. And I was telling TDU that our MBBS students call our hostels as mini jails because we don't give them phones, we don't give them any access to any social media. And then the lady who was comparing, she said, Swamiji, even if it is jail, it is better. We have seen the perils of what happens when children have got onto this social media addiction and how much of distraction has happened. And I said there is a good reason why we have done that, because I want them to focus on what matters to them. At this point in time, the education learning matters. Entertainment and enjoyment is not the purpose. For that there is another time. There is some other time to do that. Get yourself to learn. Get yourself to become useful to the society. And really knowledgeable and skilled. And now with TDO, our effort would be to also bring transdisciplinary subjects. At least you should have an understanding of what is Ayurvedic concepts. What are these concepts? How does Ayurveda work? Or how does Siddha medicine work? There is some science there. It's not all just theory. There is some practical reasoning there. And I saw so much of research that they have published, and I was going through it. So many of these diseases which do not have solution in allopathy, they have some logic of how they want to treat, what they want to do, what is the inner mechanism. It's just that they do not have that depth of molecular level of understanding of how medicines work or what happens, those chemical reactions, the way modern medicine gives, that they do not have. But they have some logic of how these things work. And they were telling me outcome is the proof whether this works or not. How does it matter if this works this way or that way? At the end, the outcome is better in so many places. I said, yes, but we also should, we are an academic institution, we should also be able to explain the process. It can't be just, I did this and abracadabra, something came out on the other end. What happened in between? Nobody knows. No, that also has to be defined, that also has to be explained, is what will be our effort to ensure that integration of different streams of healthcare sciences is a very scientific process, and our children understand the holistic nature of our healthcare sciences. We are just not treating the body. It's not about giving them some antidepressants and making them feel good. and thinking that their problem is over. That's ostrich's approach. Bury your head and think no danger. That's what the whole society is doing. But we want to really get to the roots of it and understand the causation and accordingly find solutions to the problems. That is the future. And I told him 30 years, 25, 30 years down the line, every medicine around the world will be integrative medicine only. There is no one stream of medicine. There is no one right way of doing things. And world will wake up and accept this with respect. And we have to work towards that vision of 25 years from now. What's the point in training them in a way which is not going to be very useful a couple of years down the line? We must be futuristic, visionary, and that is what we have to develop. And we have such rich understanding and knowledge and so much of now evidence of all kinds of knowledge systems. So I request our medical school also to keep their minds open. Our Rishi says, Ano Bhadra Kutvo Yantu Vishwataha. Let noble thoughts come to us from all directions. Let us be open to learning. Let us be open to knowledge. Let us be willing to be able to accept different ways of doing things. Then whatever appeals, whatever is right, whatever is real can be applied. So I'm quite serious about it. I think in a year or two, we definitely will have, not inside the medical school, but by its side, a school of integrative medicine where we would also do a lot of research and such works. And I've seen the evidence, I've seen the work that they have done, I've seen the outcomes. I've gone through a lot of reports that they showed me a lot of research outcomes, and we will do more work. That is why I went to TDU. I spent 5-6 hours there actually, understanding every section of how things work, because this is my passion. And just like this education system of Gurukula, where you have Aparavidya and Paravidya both amalgamated into one education system, I want to see healthcare also grow that way, where our traditional knowledge systems and the modern medicine come together to create a very beautiful synthesis of holistic healthcare. So that is the future in the healthcare side also. It will also happen at some point in time in the near future. But it's very exciting to be, for me it is very exciting to do these things and see the results of it. I hope it is as exciting for you also. And you also should feel enthused and excited every day that we are learning new things. And we are doing things the right way. We are making a path where there is no path. But we are leading people on the right road. And that is our goodness. And hopefully in a couple of years from now, each one of you will take upon yourself this responsibility of spreading this knowledge to many, many, many more children who are laboring away in hot sun somewhere because father died without paying the loan, or because the child was simply kidnapped or abducted from streets and sold to somebody for pittance. There are plenty of them there who are going through this tremendous hardship. But we cannot do anything for all of them right now. But I'm hoping that if all of us join hands, someday every child will get the kind of education. We will see that bright smile that is there on the faces of so many kids that I saw. And they also will look forward to living a happy, useful, purposeful life and be positively contributing to the society. Towards that vision is what we are working. Let us never forget that what we are here for. It's not just about individual growth and our individual degree and our individual jobs. It's more than that. It's about uplifting so many more who are waiting for us to go back for them and get them also to the other side. So I hope you will take all these things very seriously. Contemplate on it. Simply don't listen and you will forget this in 2 minutes from now. Contemplate on these talks. What is the vision of this system that we are in? What is our role? What is our future responsibility? That way you create a vision for your own life, which aligns with the vision of this institution and the mission. Then you will know what you should do with you, and you will never get distracted. You will never get distracted by sillier or pettier things in life, because you have such a lofty vision which motivates you every day, which keeps you going. So develop that kind of commitment. With these words of blessings, I conclude.